So let's go ahead and let's look, and I'm not even going to go through this whole thing with carbon dating, because I think what we need to do is we need to look at this. Diacritical marks. How many have heard about the Qira'at? First of all, how many of you know who Hatun Tash is? Okay, a few of you have raised your hand. This woman has single-handedly almost destroyed the Quran, and she's only 5'2". You're going to hear her on Saturday. She is going to be in one of our workshops, not physically, because she can't leave England. But let me tell you what she did. You can turn off the slides now. Well, no, keep the slides up there so you can look at. That's her. See where I'm in the bottom left? That's her with the glasses there yelling. That's Hatun Tash. Hatun Tash is from Turkey. Her father is an imam, well-known imam from Turkey. And because of falling in love with Jesus Christ, she had to leave Turkey. Came to England, was my student at Oxford Center of Christian Apologetics. Thought I was arrogant, which I come across as, and decided when I said that I go down to a place called Speaker's Corner every Sunday, she decided she wanted to come and check me out. So she came to Speaker's Corner and has never stopped coming. That was back in 2012, 2013. So she's been there almost 9 years. When she was there at Speaker's Corner, we trained her up. We got her into all the material. She's learned amazingly fast, just has an amazing mind. She was asked to go down to Northern Africa to do some training, and while she was down there, she wanted to go get an Arabic Quran. So she went into a bookstore that sold Arabic Qurans and asked very simply, could I please buy an Arabic Quran? And the man behind the counter said, well, which one do you want? She says, what do you mean, which one I want? I want the Arabic Quran. There's only one Quran. It's eternal. That's what I've been told. I'm an imam's daughter. I should know that. And he says, well, we have over here, we have Hafs. Over here, we have Warsh. Up here, we have Qalun. Over there, we have Iqsai. She said, what are you talking about? She says, well, give me them all. They only cost a few dollars. So she brought them back to London and showed me them. And I started laughing. I said, Hatun, you've just discovered what I thought was not discoverable. You have come across the Qira'ats. She says, what are these, Jay? I said, these are the Ahruf, these are the Qira'ats, these are the readings. She said, well, explain that to me. I said, well, what happened? Let me just show you what happened. Well, explain that, but let me just, before I do that, let me tell you what happened. She said, well, are there more than? Yeah, I said, there should be about 30 of them. 30 different Qurans, all in Arabic. So she started going all over the place, to Jordan and to Yemen and up there to Iraq. And she had anybody that was traveling to those countries said, get this one, get this one, get this one. And so they started bringing them back. So in 2016, in June 2016, we decided to take them down to Speaker's Corner. And we held them up for everybody to see. And the crowd went berserk. They were angry. They were throwing things at us. One man, a 6'7" guy named Mohammed Hijab, was in the crowd, and he stands out. That's him right there on the right. See him on the right? He's calling to all the crowd, leave, Muslims, leave the crowd. Don't look at what they're showing you, and don't listen to what they were saying. I will explain this to you. And so he pulled all the Muslims away towards himself. Well, that was in 2016. That was the first time all over the Muslim world that they had seen this, because we filmed that and put it up on Fander Films, which is my YouTube channel, PFANDER Films. Put it up there in 2016, it went viral. 4 years later, 2020, June 2020, exactly 4 years later, Mohammed Hijab had gone through a crisis of faith there at Speaker's Corner. And he decided he needed to find out what these Qira'ats were. He needed to find out what was going on. So he zoomed in, interviewed, and put it on his channel along to a guy named Dr. Yasir Qadhi. Dr. Yasir Qadhi is considered one of the leading scholars in the Muslim world today. That is a picture from that interview in June 8th, 2020. And he said to Yasir Qadhi, and I was watching this, all of us heard about it, so we quickly went and watched it. And he said this, I'm putting my hand out here. Which Quran is in heaven? Yasir Qadhi said, do not talk about this. We do not talk about this in public. Do not ask me this question. This has been the most difficult question for the last 1,000 years for scholars. He said, if you want to talk to me afterwards, after you film, we can do a deep dive into this. And then he started explaining. Do not tell me. Please don't ask me this question. Please, you can see him shivering there on the right. You don't ask this in public. The greatest problem in the last 1,000 years, that's why you need to take my class, and we'll do a deep dive. He said, we in Islam, we have a respect for the Quran. We have a red line beyond which we do not ask certain questions. And this is one of those red lines. Then Mohammed Hijab said, well, what happened to you at Yale University when you were getting your doctorate in 1995? Well, he said, when I went there, there were no red lines at Yale University. You can ask any question you want. He says, did you have a crisis of faith? He says, no, not a crisis of faith, just a crisis of knowledge. Do you see the difference? Not a crisis of faith. But then he went on and said, here, Western academia, here in the West, they have gone leaps and bounds. But you in the East, he said, pointing to Mohammed Hijab, you in the East, your narrative, your standard narrative has holes in it. The standard Islamic narrative has holes in it. And that's his signature statement. And we're now using that all over the world. S-I-N. You get it? Standard Islamic narrative. S-I-N. Has holes in it. And we are the sin sifters. We're sifting those holes. We have a whole group of us, 7 of us, 8 of us now, who are now doing that. Finally, by the end of this, Mohammed Hijab put his hand out one more time. This is about 29 minutes later. He says, I still need to know which one is in heaven. Which one of these 30? Yasir Qadhi finally said, they are all the Quran. All 30. And I started clapping my hands. See, what Yasir Qadhi doesn't know is what we know. See, we've looked at those 37 because Hatun has them. And we have found 93,000 differences. Let me repeat that. We have found 93,000 different words between Al-Kasai and Hafs, between Warsh, just between Warsh and Hafs. Here are 2 of them right here. These are the 2 most popular ones. You can buy these, folks. I just got this off the internet from Illinois. You can buy them as we speak. This one here is the Hafs. This is the standard. This is the one that was chosen in 1924 as the standard for the whole world. This is the Warsh. This is the most popular one used in North Africa. This one and this one, they're both in Arabic. Listen, they're exactly the same, except they're not. There are 5,000 different words between these 2 books. Every time you have a different word, you have a different meaning. Every time you have a different meaning, you have a different sentence. Every time you have a different sentence, you have different theology, you have different doctrines, and yes, you have different practices. Can you see what Hatun did? Just by finding those 26 back in 2016, she has destroyed the Quran. 5'2". What a formidable woman. And she's on our team. And you're going to hear her on Saturday. This woman, single-handedly, in just the last 3 years, has brought 1,000 Muslims to Jesus Christ using this material. 1,000 Muslims. 17 imams have left Islam and become Christians because of Hatun Tash. You need to hear her on Saturday. She just opens up these Qurans and shows, look at these differences. Look at these differences. All of them are the Quran, he said, swimming in them. And what it is this. I'm going to just show you real quickly. I'm going to give you a quick Arabic lesson. Habib, you should be up here. Habil, you should be up here doing it. But let me just show you. Notice those are 2 of the manuscripts. That's the Samarkand on the left and the Sana. No, there are no dots there, right? You can't tell that, but there are no dots there. Habil, there's no dots there, right? Can you read that? Can you read that script? No, you can't. If an Arab speaker, you can't read the script because there's only 16 letters. In the 7th century, there were only 16 consonants. And unless you could see what this little shape was, you didn't know what you were reading. So they had a dilemma. And so what they did was this. They decided to, well, first of all, today there are 28 letters. 16 back there, 28. There are only 6 of them that don't have any dots. The Aleph, the Kaf, the Lam, the Mim, the Ha, and the Wow. Those are the 6 that don't need any dots. And then, of course, you have the 22 that do. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a regular, that is the most common letter in the Arabic alphabet. But looking at that, Habib, you don't know what you're looking at, do you? So if you put one dot above it, it becomes a na, or a n, nun, which is an n sound for us. Two dots above it, it becomes a ta, which is a t sound. Three dots above it, and becomes a tha, which is a th sound. One dot below it becomes, let's do it here quickly, ba, becomes a b sound. Or two dots below becomes a ya, which is a y sound. So if you put them all together, na, ta, tha, ba, ya. 5 different letters depending on where you put the dots. Those dots were all invented in the 8th century. They didn't exist in the 7th century. And that's why they went from 16 letters up to 28 letters that we now have today. And that's why you have the dot. Now you also need the 3 vowels, and there are the 3 vowels. The dhamma, which is the u sound, the kasr, which is the e sound, and the fatha, which is the a, or the a. Okay, so that's why it's important that you understand this, because if you just take dots and vowels, you can get 19 different words just from 3 letters put together. And all Arabic words have 3 letters. That's just an example of what you can do with all the dots and the vowels. Now, because of that, Hatun Tash, and I just want to show you here real quickly, here are the 30 official Qur'ans. Every one of those is a different Qur'an. Every one of them is given a name by the man that made them. And there are 93,000 differences between those, every one of the 29, and then the Hafs that's circled in black, which became the official one. Here you can see some examples of it, 93,000 differences. Here's 23 of them that my friend Bernie Power has in Australia. And here's the ones that Hatun put up. Let's put them up. There's Al-Susi, there's Al-Jafar, over here is Yaqub, over there is Duri, then we get Ibn Amir, then we get Khalat, then we get Al-Ta'it, and over there is Warsh, over here is another Warsh, Al-Sabani, and Ibn Jamaz, and Duri again, Khabar, you have Al-Kasai, and they're getting too small for me to read. There's Hisham, and over here is Al-Bazi, Khalul, Khuba, and then over here is Shoba. And as you continue to come down to the end, it's getting too small. I can't even read them because it's too small. Those are the 26 that she found in 2016. Not 2 of them are the same, and here are the 37. Now, that may be damaging in and enough, and I don't want to unpack it as to what we're finding, because in every case, we're able to find thousands upon thousands of differences. But now we're going to end with probably the most damaging stuff. Here we go. This is stuff no one's heard except for Don.